It's been roughly 2.5 years back I bought my Honda CB300F. Last week I sold it and bought Yamaha XSR. So there are quite a few things I need to discuss with my audience. In this video I'll probably explain why I sold my CB300F. I have done tons of modification on that. It's fully equipped with all the accessories and still I have to sell that out. So a lot to discuss in this video is going to be a longer video. I bought both the bikes with my money. So the points I'm going to discuss here are going to be very transparent. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Rajiv and I make honest and transparent videos here in this channel named EasyMake. So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. If you're old subscriber, first hit that like button and let's get started. Before I say anything negative, let me make one thing very clear. The CB300F is an amazing value for money motorcycle. For the price, no other bike offers the same power to weight ratio, explosive acceleration, and overall practicality. It's a seriously fast machine, one of the quickest among 250 to 300 cc's in this price bracket, specifically 2 lakhs rupees. So basically XSR and CB300F both belongs to same price range, 1.8 to 1.9 lakhs on road. So very few bikes are there in the market right now that does 0 to 100 so fast like the CB300F. On group rides, I have easily kept up with bigger bikes like Dominar, Royal Enfield, Himalayan 450 and even Speed 400. The mileage was also decent, especially before the country switched to E20 petrol. Looks wise, I loved its big bike feel and muscular tank, sharp headlights, aggressive stance. The riding ergonomics are spot on. The touring friendly wide handlebar, lower seat height, and very confidence inspiring riding triangle. For its comfortable handling, the real world usability, the ground clearance, the room for pillion, everything was spot on, and CB300 was genuinely a joy to ride bike. But despite all this positive, I eventually had to sell it. Here are the real reasons behind my decision. Number one is the E20 petrol issues, long-term engine risk. My CB300F was particularly E10 compatible, but in India is rapidly switching to E20. The E10 fuel is almost impossible to find now. Running E20 on an E10 engine will definitely cause long-term reliability issues such as fuel lining problems or maybe rusting in the fuel lines, the premature death of fuel pumps, etc. So I don't want to take those risks. Keeping the bike for many years would have been risky for the engine's longevity. Now here the accessor comes with E20 ready, safer for long-term ownership. Now point number 2 is the spares availability, a nightmare basically. Even basic consumables like clutch cable, air filter, brake pads were unavailable without placing an order. Although I have managed to get the alternative parts and the videos is already live in the channel, but still they should have come up with the stock parts at least for the daily consumables. I remember last time I ordered for the chain sprocket and it arrived after 2 months. So 2 months of waiting for the chain sprocket, and I used to replace the chain guide along with the chain sprocket. So the rubber parts that protect your swing arm from the chain, and that is unavailable in almost every BigWing showroom I searched for, and that is really a terrible experience. Sometimes I had to travel 60 to 100 kilometers to find these spare parts. So last time I got the clutch basket replaced. The clutch basket I got from Bandel. So in my hometown to Bandel, it's approximately 70 kilometers. So 140 kilometers I had to travel just to get that clutch basket. So just imagine how problematic it can become if it comes to major components. So if a major components fail, you can get stuck in the service center for months. Many CB owners have already faced this huge delay in tank side panels, rims, and other plastics. In this case, the Yamaha XSR has its own advantage just because the siblings, the MT15 and RM5, shares almost every major component with it, so the spares availability will not be an issue. Now, my point number 3 is the BigWing restrictions that makes no sense. The Hornet and CB300F shares the same wheels, the front and rear both, but you just cannot claim a insurance and replace it from the normal Honda service center. Only BigWing centers can service or claim parts, which are very few. In a vast country like India, the showroom segmentation is impractical. Now, my point number four is the build quality issues over time. Tank side panels started to cracking just below the rider's seat. Now, in my first review, I have mentioned that the plastic parts of Honda don't age well. I have seen unicorns falling apart after 5 years, but I have never seen any Yamaha bikes to fall apart. I don't know what the new generations has come up with, but Hondas are terrible with plastic. Threads on chassis nut became loose where the tank covers were fastened. Even using Loctite wasn't a permanent fix. These were signs that long term durability wouldn't be great. And number five is a suspension problem that never got solved. I tried everything possible. I replaced the rear suspension with Hero Extreme 160R suspension. I've done adjustment in front suspension also, different oil grades, different oil quantity, air column height, everything I have tried and tested. But still, that rigidity or that precise handling I was always missing from that CB300F. I think this is inherited to the character of this particular bike, and ride comfort never reached the level I wanted. So now let's talk about why I upgraded to Yamaha XSR. Now in XSR, apart from that service thing I have already discussed with about that the spares is readily available if you are from Kolkata. The MR Auto has a huge stock of spares for Yamaha, and the spare parts availability would not be an issue. The build quality, especially as it don't have many plastic parts, but the plastic feel solid here. Now the suspension is more predictable and much comfortable when ridden with a pillion. I have never imagined a race bike suspension that comes in R15 to be this much softer while riding with pillion. When riding solo, as I am very lightweight, the suspension is a little bouncier. But when ridden with pillion, as I mostly ride with my pillion, the bike performs extraordinarily well and absorbs the shocks very well. There is no sudden jerks as such, and I think this suspension is tuned for a heavy rider, not for someone who is 55 to 60 kilos of weight. Approximately put 100 kilos over that bike, and this bike performs absolutely fine, and the suspension tuning is spot on. Although the rear suspension is non-adjustable, but it is perfectly tuned for a combined weight of 100 or 120 kilos. And soon after taking the test ride, this gave me the peace of mind I wasn't getting from that CB300F. Now, my next point is the split seat to the single seat. So, XSR comes with a single piece seat that is way better than the CB split seat if you are riding with pillion. So, whenever you and the pillion are on the same level, the journey becomes much more engaging. It is decently spacious for two average size people, and it's simply more comfortable. Now, all these things I have been dealing with for the last 2.5 years, but this point I'm going to mention is a deal closer: the handling of the Yamaha XSR, the Deltabox superiority. Yamaha is miles ahead when it comes to chassis feel and stability. The Deltabox frame and the rigid aluminium swingarm give unmatched feedback, precision, stability, confidence in corners, etc. I always thought that the CB300 was very flickable, and it is, but only until I test rode the XSR. The XSR is incredibly light, more agile, and more stable at the same time. So just by looking at it, it feels like a RX100, but you'll never understand until you test rode one. I assumed that the CB would be more stable with a pillion because of the weight and longer seat, but I was completely wrong. Even with a pillion, the XSR remains rock solid, and which is shocking for a bike that weighs just about 137 kilos. Now coming to the point that there is no replacement for displacement. That is the final thing that I was worried about the most, that how will be the transition from a 300cc that provides a 24 newton meter of torque to something that has only 40 newton meters. So I was really worried about that. So I was sure that I will feel that raw outright performance punch I used to get from CB300F, and I also felt the same. The performance lag is there, but there is something that compensates this, and let me clear it out for you. Performance versus gearing, the XSR magic. Yes, the XSR torque is nearly half of that CB300F, and the performance lag is there, but the gearing makes all the difference. CB300F needs frequent gear shifts. Try pulling the CB300F in third gear from 15 kilometers per hour without doing the half clutch. It's impossible. And try that with XSR. Just like the CB200X, it pulls cleanly from very low speeds. So practically you can ride this bike in second gear in the entire city. Yes, you don't need to go to first gear because it can pull from second gear from any speed you are in. Suppose you are in standstill, it can still pull, or if you are in 10 kilometers per hour, it can still pull from second gear. And it redlines in second gear, that too without vibration. So if you need to go to 70 kilometers per hour, 60 kilometers, suppose I go 60 kilometers per hour, you can still do that in second gear. So the gear shifting is very less frequent in this bike, and this is very much practical if you're doing the if you're doing city rides or commuting on a daily basis. This makes the XSR an easy-going daily machine, perfect for city traffic and office commutes. Not for torque lovers definitely, but perfect for people who need smooth and effortless ride. Now coming to the refinement, a night and day difference. With the CB300F, I used premium Idemitsu IRG7 XP95 petrol, and it already comes along with that NGK iridium spark plug to make it just a bit smoother. Not because it's bad, but because the motor isn't rev happy. The power band ends around 7k rpm. After that, it becomes buzzy, feels rattly, and although it can cruise at 120 all day, but you are happiest at 80 to 90. And in my previous review, I have already mentioned that yes, vibration is there, but it's not that you can't ride it, but you have to deal with it. You have to love that vibration, and I used to love that vibration until I experienced the XSR with stock Yamaha loop, normal petrol, and that too without a iridium spark plug. It can do 100 kilometer per hour all day. That is unexpected from a motorcycle of 155cc only. Like it's running on 100 kilometer per hour, and it doesn't feel like it's running at 100 kilometer per hour. That too in, I guess, 7k rpm before the VVA hits. So the variable valve actuation is also another thing to consider, which means there is still a lot of refinement potential left. Now coming to my next bonus point, that is mileage. I don't really care about the mileage thanks to my Tiago doing 12 km per liter, but the XSR delivers such a good efficiency that I can literally start another SIP from that petrol savings. My next point will be the headlight. You have you have to experience this headlight. Finally, Yamaha has come up with something that is practical and that literally falls on the road. Take a test ride of CB300F or CB200X or even Hornet. The headlight don't even touch the ground. It is that bad that I have to buy the aux light 2 weeks after I bought the bike. It practically useless. But the XSR headlight is approximately 10 times better than the CB300F. It is that good that I sold my aux lights to one of my subscriber, and I believe that I don't need it until I do it ride to the mountains. Better throw, better spread, better brightness, better high beam, everything. So this is time for summarize the those of you still in this video. I appreciate you guys. I really liked your contribution to the channel, and thank you a lot. Now come to the conclusion. CB300F gave me speed, fun, acceleration, value, and great ergonomics, but it also gave me E20 related worries, severe spare parts issues, big wing restrictions, quality concerns, suspension inconsistencies, etc. The Yamaha XSR gives me the opposite: practicality, peace of mind, refinement, effortless commuting, amazing handling, better pillion comfort, and reliable, easy to accessible spares. It may not be as fast as the CB300F, but for real world everyday riding, it hits differently, and that's why I upgraded. So I owned both of this bike, and if I were you and I have to pick one between these two, first of all I'll get test ride of for both of this. On the one hand, you have CB300F, which is the cheapest 300cc available in the market, which will definitely give you outrageous performance, that superb 0 to 100 and that thrill of riding a big bike. At the same time, it will give you headache while searching for spare parts and quality concerns. On the other hand, you have Yamaha XSR, which is probably the most practical and 10 on 10 on utility. It is an easygoing machine that offers mileage, practicality, smoothness, and probably the best 150cc you can own and be proud of it. Thanks for watching.